Welcome back, everyone, to the Personal Growth Talks podcast. I'm Jason, and with me today is Julia. We're so glad you've joined us. If you've ever struggled with getting things done, or you find yourself putting off important tasks, then today's episode is just for you. We're diving into a topic that almost everyone faces at some point: procrastination.
That's right, Jason. We all know that feeling of putting things off, right? Whether it's work, school, or even personal goals, we often find ourselves saying, "I'll do it later," but later never seems to come. But don't worry. Today, we're going to talk about how to break that cycle and actually get things done.
Exactly. Procrastination is something that can really slow us down and stop us from reaching our potential. But here's the good news. We don't have to stay stuck in this cycle forever. There are strategies that anyone can use to overcome procrastination and start making progress on the things that matter most.
Right. And the best part is, these tips don't just help with work or school. They can apply to any area of your life. If you've been waiting for the perfect time to start, well, today is the perfect time. You're going to learn how to overcome that feeling of being stuck, how to take action, and how to actually start seeing results.
So, whether you're trying to finish a project, improve your productivity, or just get more things done each day, this episode is for you. By the end, we hope you'll feel motivated and ready to tackle your to-do list without putting things off anymore. So, let's get started. So, Julia, before we dive into the solutions, let's first understand what procrastination really is. Why do you think we tend to put things off, even when we know they're important?
Great question, Jason. Procrastination is more than just laziness. It's actually a behavioral pattern that can be caused by several factors. One of the main reasons people procrastinate is due to fear. Fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, or even fear of success can stop us from taking action. We often think that if we wait long enough, the task will somehow get easier, but that rarely happens.
That's a really good point. I think we also procrastinate because we feel overwhelmed. When we look at a big task or project, it can seem so huge that we don't even know where to begin. That feeling of being stuck or not knowing where to start can be paralyzing.
Absolutely. And another reason we procrastinate is because we distract ourselves. Instead of doing the important task, we find ourselves scrolling through social media or watching TV. The problem is, in the moment, those distractions give us a temporary sense of relief, but later, we're left with even more stress and guilt because we've wasted time.
Yeah, it's like we're seeking instant gratification. It feels good in the moment to avoid the task, but then we regret it later. This is where procrastination becomes a cycle. The longer we put something off, the more stressed we feel about it, and the more we want to avoid it.
Exactly. And here's another thing. Sometimes we procrastinate because we don't know how to do the task. We might not have all the skills or information we need, and instead of asking for help or figuring it out, we just push it to the side.
That's so true. A lot of times, procrastination is tied to perfectionism. We want things to be perfect, and if we think we can't do it perfectly, we avoid doing it at all. But, as you mentioned earlier, that fear of failure holds us back, and we never even give ourselves a chance to try.
Right. And sometimes we procrastinate because of lack of motivation. If we don't see the value or purpose behind what we're doing, it's much harder to find the energy to start. When we don't feel excited or connected to the task, it's easy to push it aside.
So, to sum it up, procrastination is often a mix of fear, overwhelm, avoidance, perfectionism, and lack of motivation. But the good news is, once we understand the reasons behind our procrastination, we can begin to tackle it. Now that we understand what procrastination is, let's talk about the effects it can have on our lives. Procrastination isn't just about delaying tasks. It can actually cause some serious consequences. Julia, what do you think the biggest effect of procrastination is?
Well, Jason, one of the most noticeable effects of procrastination is the increased stress it brings. The more we delay a task, the more pressure we put on ourselves. As the deadline approaches, we start to feel overwhelmed, and the stress starts building up. It's like the task becomes a mountain instead of a small hill.
That's such a great point. It's like the task gets bigger and bigger in our minds the longer we put it off. And with that stress comes anxiety. You know, the constant worry of, I haven't done this yet. What if I don't finish in time? It really starts to take a toll on our mental health.
Absolutely. And then there's the guilt. We feel guilty because we know we could have started earlier, but we didn't. And that guilt only adds to the anxiety and stress. It's like a snowball effect. The longer we avoid it, the worse it feels, and the more we want to avoid it even more.
Yes, and it's not just about the immediate task we're avoiding. Procrastination also affects our self-confidence. When we repeatedly avoid things, we start to believe that we're not capable of getting things done. It can make us doubt our abilities and leave us feeling less competent.
That's right. And, procrastination can also hurt our relationships. For example, if we keep putting off helping a friend or family member with something important, it can lead to frustration and disappointment on their end. We may even let people down without realizing it.
Exactly. And here's another big effect: lower quality of work. When we procrastinate, we're often rushing to finish things last minute, and that's never a good situation. The quality of our work decreases, and we may end up doing just enough to get by rather than doing our best.
That's something I've definitely experienced. And Jason, procrastination can also affect our long-term growth. If we keep putting off important things, like learning new skills or taking action toward our goals, we end up stuck in the same place. We can miss out on opportunities for personal or professional development.
Yes, and when you think about it, procrastination creates a cycle of avoidance and regret. The more we avoid tasks, the more we regret not taking action earlier, and then the cycle continues.
So, procrastination doesn't just delay tasks. It affects our mental health, relationships, work quality, and personal growth. But the good news is, now that we understand these effects, we can take steps to break free from it.
Now that we've covered the effects of procrastination, let's dive into the next part of the conversation: overcoming the mental blocks that stop us from getting things done. Julia, why do you think people have such strong mental barriers when it comes to starting tasks?
That's a great question, Jason. I think one of the biggest mental blocks is the fear of failure. When we start something new, especially something important, there's always that worry in the back of our minds. What if I don't succeed? This fear can be so overwhelming that it actually prevents us from taking action in the first place.
Oh, absolutely. That fear of failure can paralyze us. And here's the thing. It's not just about the fear of failing at the task, but also the fear of looking bad or feeling embarrassed. We often let that fear stop us before we even try.
Right! But what's important to remember is that failure isn't the end of the world. In fact, it's part of the process. Everyone fails at something at some point, but that's how we learn and grow. It's better to try and fail than to never try at all.
That's so true. And another mental block people face is perfectionism. We tell ourselves, I need to get this exactly right. And if it doesn't look perfect in our minds, we avoid starting it. But the reality is, nothing is ever perfect, and waiting for perfection often just leads to more procrastination.
I've been there too. We put off starting because we feel like the conditions aren't perfect, or we don't have all the tools we need. But perfectionism really just keeps us stuck. Sometimes we need to remind ourselves that done is better than perfect.
Exactly. Another mental block people struggle with is lack of clarity. Sometimes we avoid tasks because we don't even know where to start or what the first step is. When a task feels unclear or overwhelming, it's easy to shut down and avoid it.
I totally agree. A lack of clarity makes the task feel bigger and harder than it really is. The solution here is to break the task down into smaller, more manageable steps. When we can see a clear path, it becomes easier to take that first step.
That's a great tip. And speaking of taking that first step, indecision can be another mental block. We often waste time trying to decide the best way to approach something instead of just starting. Waiting for the perfect plan can keep us from making any progress at all.
Yes, that's the paralysis by analysis trap. We overthink, we plan, and we keep second-guessing ourselves. But the truth is, taking action, even if it's not perfect, is the key to breaking through this block. It's about making decisions and moving forward, not waiting for the perfect answer.
Another important mental block is self-doubt. We often think, am I good enough to do this? Or, what if I can't do it? This type of thinking can prevent us from even starting because we convince ourselves we're not capable.
Self-doubt is such a tough one. But here's the thing. Every time you push past that doubt and take action, you build more confidence. It's about showing yourself that you are capable, and each small step you take proves that to yourself.
Yes, and we also need to recognize that motivation isn't something that always just appears. A lot of people wait for motivation to hit before they start, but motivation often follows action. It's the act of starting that actually generates the motivation to keep going.
Exactly. The more we put things off, the harder it becomes to feel motivated. But once you take that first step, you'll often find that momentum builds, and suddenly it's easier to keep going.
So, overcoming mental blocks really comes down to recognizing these thoughts and feelings when they arise and finding ways to challenge them. Whether it's changing our mindset about failure, letting go of perfectionism, gaining clarity, or taking action before we feel ready, it's about breaking through those mental barriers one step at a time.
Right. And remember, progress is the goal, not perfection. Start with small steps, challenge your negative thoughts, and take action, even when you don't feel 100% ready. Every step forward is a step closer to overcoming procrastination.
So, to recap, overcoming mental blocks involves understanding that failure is part of the process, letting go of the need for perfection, finding clarity in your tasks, avoiding overthinking, and pushing past self-doubt. By tackling these blocks head-on, you'll find it much easier to stop procrastinating and get things done. Now that we've covered mental blocks, let's move on to something really important, creating a productive environment. Julia, how do you think our environment impacts our ability to get things done?
Great question, Jason. Our environment plays a huge role in our productivity. The space around us can either support our goals or distract us. If we're in a cluttered, noisy, or chaotic environment, it's much harder to focus and stay motivated. But when we create an environment that promotes focus, it can make a world of difference.
Absolutely. One of the first things I recommend is to create a dedicated workspace, whether it's a desk in your room, a quiet corner of your living space, or a local cafe. Having a specific place where you do your work helps signal to your brain that it's time to focus.
Yes, and it's so important to keep that workspace clean and organized. Clutter can be a huge distraction. When your desk is full of papers, gadgets, or old coffee cups, it can be hard to focus on the task at hand. A clean space helps clear your mind and sets the tone for productivity.
That's so true. Another thing to consider is minimizing distractions. For many of us, our phones are one of the biggest sources of distraction. Turning off notifications or putting your phone in another room while you work can really help you stay focused.
I completely agree. It's amazing how easy it is to get sucked into checking social media or responding to messages. But when we remove those distractions, we're able to give our full attention to the task at hand. A focused mind is a productive mind.
Another aspect of creating a productive environment is setting the right mood. For some people, listening to instrumental music or nature sounds can help them concentrate. For others, silence is key. It's all about finding what works best for you and setting the mood to get into a productive flow.
That's right. And let's not forget about lighting. The right lighting can have a huge effect on how focused we feel. Bright, natural light helps keep you alert and awake, while dim lighting can make you feel sleepy or distracted. So, make sure your workspace is well lit, preferably with natural light if you can.
Absolutely. And one last thing I'll mention is the importance of physical and mental health. A productive environment isn't just about your space, it's also about taking care of yourself. Regular exercise, eating healthy, and getting enough sleep can improve your focus and energy levels, making it easier to be productive.
Exactly. It's a holistic approach. Your physical environment and your well-being go hand in hand. When you take care of both, you'll find it much easier to stay focused, avoid procrastination, and get things done.
So, to recap, creating a productive environment involves setting up a dedicated, organized space, minimizing distractions, setting the right mood, and taking care of your physical and mental health. All of these factors can work together to help you stay on track and get things done efficiently. Wow, we've covered a lot today. We've talked about what procrastination is, its effects on our lives, how to overcome mental blocks, and how to create a productive environment. Before we wrap up, Julia, what's the key takeaway you'd like our listeners to remember?
I think the most important thing is that procrastination doesn't have to control our lives. It's something we can all overcome with the right mindset, strategies, and environment. The key is to start small, take one step at a time, challenge the mental blocks, and make small improvements in your environment. Every little bit helps.
That's such a great point, Julia. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by procrastination, especially when it seems like there's so much to change. But as you said, starting with small, manageable steps can make the process feel much more achievable.
Exactly. And remember, it's about progress, not perfection. You're not going to fix everything at once, and that's okay. What matters is that you're taking action and moving forward. Celebrate the small wins along the way. They add up.
Absolutely. And don't forget that creating a productive environment is a big part of the solution. A well-organized, focused space can really help you stay on track and reduce distractions. It's like setting up your surroundings for success.
Right. And overcoming procrastination is really about building good habits. The more you practice taking action, even when you don't feel like it, the easier it gets. And before you know it, you'll be moving through tasks with more confidence and less stress.
Yes. So, if you're struggling with procrastination right now, just know you're not alone. It's something that everyone faces at some point. But with the right mindset, strategies, and environment, you can break free from it. It's about making small changes that lead to big results.
Absolutely! So, to wrap up, take some time to reflect on the tips we've shared today. Start with just one strategy, whether it's challenging your mental blocks, organizing your workspace, or taking care of your well-being. And remember, consistency is key. Small steps every day will add up to big progress over time.
Well said, Julia. Thanks so much for joining me today, and thank you to everyone listening. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts or any questions you have about overcoming procrastination in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks, Jason. And thank you, everyone, for listening. We hope you found today's conversation helpful. Remember, you have the power to overcome procrastination and create the life you want. Take action, stay focused, and keep growing.
And that's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to our conversation about overcoming procrastination. We hope you found these tips and insights helpful in taking that first step toward getting things done.
It was great talking about how we can all break through procrastination and create the momentum we need to succeed. Remember, it's all about small changes, consistency, and making progress one step at a time.
Absolutely. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to the Personal Growth Talks podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you found this helpful, share it with your friends and family. They might need a little motivation too.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions or would like to share how you're overcoming procrastination, leave us a comment or send us a message. We always love connecting with you.
Thank you again for being part of the Personal Growth Talks community. Keep pushing forward, stay motivated, and remember, the journey to overcoming procrastination starts with a single step.
Take care, and we'll see you in the next episode. Keep growing.
Bye for now.